So making or breaking with the AI there. Now, the House of Lords Artificial Intelligence Committee's report, which is called AI in the UK, Ready, Willing and Able, says it should be developed for the common good and the benefit of humanity. But someone who was never convinced about AI was the late Professor Stephen Hawking. The world-renowned physicist feared somebody would create AI that kept improving itself until it became superior to people.
I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. Once humans develop artificial intelligence, it would take off on its own and redesign itself at an ever-increasing rate.
Well, joining me now to talk about this is Nigel Crooke, a professor of AI and robotics at Brookes University, and our regular guest social commentator and futurist MAL FLETCHER as well. Nigel, I'll start with you. What do you think about the Law's report? Obviously, I'm assuming you're a fan of AI being developed, given that you work in that field. What did you make of it all?
Yes, I am a fan. I think it's a very well-researched and quite a broad-reaching report. And I support quite a lot of what is put in there, especially the emphasis on ethical AI, as you pointed out. Excuse me.
Now, Mal, benefits of this. I mean, much is made of the, you kind of get a lot of naysayers straight away saying, it's the end of the human race and it would be terrible. There's got to be quite a lot of benefits, though, right, Mal?
Yeah, there are potentially some benefits, and let me apologise for the army of frogs in my throat this morning. But nevertheless, I think there are some benefits. We need to take into account all of the pros and cons, as the House of Lords seems to be willing to do. But look, in Industry 4, for example, the next iteration of industry, we've got the death of old school factories, the breaking up of big factories into smaller production units spread across this countryside, all hooked up via the cloud and run by semi-autonomous machines. That's the theory, at least. And it's starting to happen. That has impact on jobs and so on, but it does also free us up to be a bit more innovative, to have more ideas because the machines are doing the boring stuff.
Good stuff. Now, Nigel, the worries around this, the sort of, I guess you could say, the traditional sci-fi films of old where all the robots kind of, there's an uprising and they take over the world. Is that justified? I mean, is there a possibility? There was the story that really creeped me out, I think, in the last 12 months where the two robots were talking to each other in their own language and they were shut down. I think it was in Japan. Stuff like that does make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, doesn't it?
It does, but I think a lot of this is hype and it's not actually grounded in reality. The issue is that the public conception of what AI is capable of doing, certainly at present, is very overinflated. And in fact, the reality is also that human intelligence is far greater than we give it credit for. So the gap between where we are now and human-level intelligence is very significant indeed.
So we've already starting to see sort of self-driving cars on our streets. I mean, what other sort of developments and things are being worked on at the moment? What might we see, fairly soon in the near future happening, or, that AI is going to be doing?
Well, AI is already moving into new arenas, especially those that involve social interaction with people. And we have Alexa, and so on, systems that conversationally interact with people, and I think we're going to see more and more of that. But the other aspect is that AI is increasingly being used across a whole very broad range of applications, and often we're not aware that we're interacting with a system that is using AI.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I suppose when you log on to your banking and all that kind of stuff, things pop up. I mean, Mal, how open do businesses have to be about this? I mean, is it important that we know that we're interacting with robots?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm just asking Mal this one, Nigel. I will come back to you in just a moment. That's okay. Go ahead, Mal.
Yeah, thanks, Nigel. I think, first of all, Nigel's point about thinking like a human is a very long way off for machines. We don't even understand their own intelligence. How can we yet emulate it in a machine? So that's a good point. I think for businesses and for individuals, it's very important that we know we're interacting with machines. We have chatbots now becoming more and more powerful. The Do Not Pay chatbot here in the UK argues against parking fines for you, and it's a machine. There's no human interaction there at all. But at least we can tell that it's a chatbot. I think that's very important to our sense of interaction.
So what about when we get to that grey area where we're not Sure. I mean, do you think we need a flash up, a pop-up box or something on the website? I mean, how clear do people need to be about it?
Well, yeah, you mentioned ethics a moment ago. This is one of the big ethical questions surrounding the whole automation process. Ethics, of course, is the branch of philosophy that asks just two simple questions. What's the right thing to do, and how do I apply it to this non-binary, complex, grey area situation? There are a lot of grey areas in the area of automation and robotisation. For example, we talk about nanorobotics, the invention of machines from the microscopic level up. They could be injected into your bloodstream to take out harmful cells, but they could also be weaponised. Loaded with chemicals and spread in the air that you ingest without even thinking about it. So there's a lot of really grey areas and a lot of ethical discussion has to be happening alongside the tech development.
Oh, and we will be catching up with the Bishop of Oxford, Stephen Croft, who's been on the panel in the next hour. But Nigel, one thing I wanted to ask you was about kind of the development of non-traditional, because if you say to the average layperson robot, they think of a human-looking or a metal-looking thing with eyes and a face, and actually, most of these AI developments that we are actually seeing in our homes and our lives at the moment are nothing like that, are they? Is that, do you think people are growing to be against the idea of a humanoid-looking thing in their house, and they actually prefer something to look like, say, an Alexa or an Amazon Echo does?
Yeah, very much so. I think the problem with making robots look human is that they begin to freak us out. There's a well-known principle called the uncanny valley, where at one end of a spectrum you have something that is not human-like at all, and as you make it more and more human-like, they really like it better until it reaches a certain point where it becomes creepy.
Yeah.
And you have to really push past that and increase the likeness to the point where we can begin to relate to it again. So there's that little valley where it's so human-like, but not quite. There's something not quite right about it, which means that we're freaked out by it.
It's a fascinating field. Thank you so much for coming on, Nigel, and talking about it. And Mal, lovely to have you in the studio as well. No doubt we'll see you again soon.